Good morning, everybody. It's episode 28, and this is the first week that I'm in my brand new office. And it's good timing because to start off my week, I am doing the Shop Stall podcast recording first. So I'm very interested to see what the sound is going to be like in here. And the second thing is I am doing a lot of phone calls this week for this new Vanity project. And something I'm noticing is I really need some blinds up there because the sun is absolutely beaming in on me. On the side, and I'm not filming this because I don't think it's really worth filming. It's a bit of a hack together job. I'm making another acoustic panel or acoustic trap for the office. So on this wall here, I'm gonna add this trap, and this is to try and absorb a lot of the mid to low frequencies. So I've got some of this earth wool in there, and then I've got this piece of foam which is then going to get squashed down. So generally with acoustic or insulation material, you don't want to squash it down. You want that air trapped inside. But if you make a dense acoustic trap, then it will slow down the lower frequencies. So this is specifically dedicated to those mid to low frequencies. One of the issues with this room is these panels up on the ceiling and the earth wall behind here is all relatively thin and light. So all of the top end, the treble, all of those frequencies have been cut perfectly. Great. But now what you're left with is this sort of boomy, muddy, mid-range section, which is a common thing that happens when people try and treat these rooms. But it's particularly bad in here for two reasons. Firstly, it's a small room, so you've got to put in a lot of work to absorb all of that sound. And secondly, the whole room is made of timber. Well, two walls and the ceiling are timber. So it's got a tendency to want to vibrate across the whole thing. Also, these two panels that I put in for the desks are relatively light timber, so they're vibrating as well. So again, that deep, dense panel should absorb more of those lower frequencies that haven't been taken care of yet here. Outside of woodworking, this arrived today. This is the pavers that I'm going to be laying down outside the workshop. I briefly touched on it in the last video. These are seconds pavers, so they were really cheap. I think they were about $2.50 a paver. There's 175 of them, so it's going to take me a while to lay. But for being seconds, I'm really not disappointed in the quality. But I'm loving the fact that I can now get from my upstairs area down into the workshop without any shoes on. This is something that my old neighbor, who was a builder, explained to me once. He said, any areas that you walk on, any areas of relatively high foot traffic, in his view, you should be able to access without shoes. Like, that's the measure. If you've got a walkway or pathway that you need to put shoes on for, it's kind of missed the boat. And at first hearing that, you may think, well, of course, that's very obvious. But I'm amazed at how many people have like gravel driveways and gravel pathways. These are all areas that you walk on pretty much every day. And if you go out there without shoes on, you're sort of dancing around because it's stabbing the underside of your foot. It's Wednesday morning, it's the start of my week, and behind me is a workshop that I used to do woodworking in. But for the past few weeks, it feels like this is my only office. I've heard this from so many people that when you start doing this full time, you spend the majority of your time emailing quotes, talking to clients, that kind of thing. And these last couple of weeks, I've really felt it. I don't think I've done anything in there significant. It's just been sitting on the computer, emailing people, doing SketchUp. this is the side of furniture making that I haven't really seen yet. I just had a meeting with a rep from Lincoln Century, so they do mostly hardware, anything to do with cabinet making really. He's dropped off a catalog here, all the products that they have. And it's a funny thing getting into this side of the business. You know, when you're just a furniture maker, you're very isolated in your little space. You don't deal with other people, you just build your things. But now with doing cabinetry, which is a huge industry built around, suddenly I can feel through all of these products, creating accounts, I can feel myself, and this is not negative in any way, but I can feel myself getting funneled into the track that cabinet makers are in. So you start working with everything is 16mm melamine. That's your life, 16mm particle board. And I can see why, because every single product in here is designed to work within that realm. And so I can feel myself going from what used to be the outside, looking at cabinet makers, just thinking, like, I get what you're doing, but it's like this whole world, and I can feel myself now getting pulled into that world, and soon I will know all the lingo, I'll know all the ins and outs, all those little nuances that you learn through experience in the trade. I can feel I'm on that train now. This is how my children prank me. I've spent a lot of my morning on the phone looking for moisture resistance melamine, and it doesn't seem like anyone here in Townsville stocks it, which I get, like it's a specific. Well, is it specific? I mean, it's a Vanity. Everyone's making vanities. But it seems like there's a supplier. I don't know who a supplier is. I probably won't be able to access them. And everyone's got to ring their supplier to find out what the cost is, and then they've got to get it delivered. I am on my way down to Studio Doubled today to pick up some Tasmanian blackwood for a small job that's come through. Simple is definitely the adjective to be used for this. I've glued those two boards together to make about a 19mm by 390 board, and the client wants a clock embedded in it, and that's pretty much all there is to it. What does make this one a bit more tricky is I don't know the design past that, and there should be more to it. But I'm meeting up with the client tomorrow morning, and they're going to explain exactly what they want. So I don't think I'm going to be charging very much for this, just because it's such a non-project, but it's all going to depend on what this client asks me to do tomorrow. It's a bit of a weird commission. However, as with all of these sorts of projects, I'm looking at it long term. So even if this is just a very simple project with little money made, it's not a lot of my time being taken up, and hopefully I can potentially secure a client for the future when they want something a bit bigger, a bit grander. This morning, I'm over at Dan from Riverside Woodworks place to play with lasers. I picked up the lasered clock mechanism from Dan today, and I put the hands on. So this has come out pretty cool, pretty happy with it. Very simple projects. I'm not making a lot of money from it, but I'm kind of stoked I took it on, because it's one of those, just sort of keep the juices flowing, keep busy, and it was a very simple, straightforward project. So as I've said, hopefully this will result in a job down the line. And I've also been working on this side table idea. I don't know if I've mentioned it already in the video. I'll know once I've started editing it. But what I did was what I've done is ask Dan to make me a template, so that's it. With this, I can relatively quickly take two pieces of round stock, cut it round using this as a template, and cut in these notches, again using this as a template, and then get some 20 mil thick stock as wide as I want it, get 3 of them, and then they slot into here. So this is a 12 mil inside radius, diameter, and this is a 6 mil radius on this leg, so that just slots in there. I'm learning, sort of figuring this process out, so one of the slots I've made a bit too tight, but there you go, boom, that goes in. It's, because it's all been machined using the router bits, it's quite a tight fit, tight enough that I'm happy with it. And then I've done the same thing on this one, which then sits about here. So it's a very, very simple design, nothing groundbreaking, but it means that I'm hoping to get to a point where I can knock one of these out in a day, so it will be a relatively low cost item that might interest people. The melamine sheets are ready for pickup. I'm off to get them now. All right, next up are some smaller items for the clock, a little commission that I'm doing. I need to get some finish for the side table that I'm working on, and then I'm also going to try and get some decking. All right, studio doubled, had this Livos countertop oil, which I haven't used before. I've used Livos before and I really liked it, and they're relatively cheap as well. So hopefully this will work well. I mean, I'm sure it will. It's for a personal project, so this is the time to try new things. I'm out at Boodle Timber. They have Jarrah decking. I am pretty stoked about that. That's it for travel today. Now it's time to get into the workshop and do some woodworking. Quite a busy day for me. So the melamine is under that foam. The decking is there. Got the oil for the piece of furniture. The only thing that I haven't got today are the little eye hooks, but I'll go out and get those another day. Today I had the trailer out, and I tend to pack the trailer away when I'm not using it, so I don't have it as easy access. So when I am doing some running around with it, I try and get as much done in one go as possible. So behind me is the spot that I need to put all those sheet goods, all the melamine. So I've got to move all this stuff. This shop is really not designed with sheet goods in mind. Well, I say design. There's very little structure to the shop yet. It's only been 10 months since I started working, but I'll get there. I can't remember if I mentioned this, but in terms of a track saw for the Vanity build, Bosch has sent me out their track saw, their cordless track saw. Today the guide rails have arrived, so there's a 1.1 and then this is the 1.4 I think, and then there's some other stuff in the box. So that's some clamps for the guide rails. This is a blade. Okay, this is actually a really important one. This is the angle guide, and I talked to the guys on the podcast about this because I'm going to be cutting down that melamine. I need it to be accurate. All this like mental anguish that I've gone through to get this melamine cut by a professional cabinet maker was all just in the name of making sure that it's accurate. So Brian and Joey both said, no, you can do it yourself, just back yourself. And part of that is being able to cut a perfectly parallel and perpendicular corner on the track saw. And that's what this should help me do. I'm going to end this episode here. This is Friday afternoon. It has been a very good week. Yesterday, I just wasn't in a good place with everything that was going on. I had this Vanity project on the go with this track saw that was sitting there. I've never used a track saw before. I'm now having to cut melamine, which I haven't done successfully ever. and it, time is ticking on and I need to get it done, and I was really sort of feeling that weighing on me. At the same time, I've been working on this pond and I really wasn't happy. Hey, can you just quit it for a sec? No? All right, carry on. And I really wasn't happy with the this decking that I was putting around it. It just wasn't looking good, especially with, you might be able to see in the video, the liner is sort of like showing through, which I didn't want. And that was bumming me out, because I was like, this is not what I envisioned. And I went to bed last night and I said to my wife, it's just like, stuff's not right. It's a weird feeling. I'm not sad, but things aren't right. I don't feel good. I don't feel confident in where I am and what I'm doing, and just it's a yuck feeling. Anyway, today's happened. I've started cutting up those melamine sheets and they look fantastic. Track saw, super easy to use, looks great. And I got onto this project with the decking just after lunch. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. And it reminds me of that saying, when you have a big project ahead, it's so important that you just take that first step. Don't worry about step 15, just take that first step. And it's so true. Yesterday I had all this stuff on my shoulders, that stuff that I had to do, and in one day, just by taking that first step, I suddenly feel like I'm back in control and I know what's going on. So it's the end of the week. I'm very excited to get back into it next week. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Any questions, leave them down below. I'll see you in the next one.